Hello people, welcome to Meeneh's Space. My name is Meeneh and I'm a baker, international student and YouTuber based in Canada, and I am so glad to be back on your screens. In today's video, I am going to be sharing my first experience with a housemate, and it happened to be the first apartment I moved into in Canada. I hope you stay till the end of the video and I hope you're able to learn something from my experience, and I also hope that you do not make the same mistakes I made before moving into the apartment. So let's get right into the story. Before I get into this video, I want to put this disclaimer. This is something I experienced firsthand in my first apartment ever in Canada. This video is not to bash anyone or call out anyone. So if you're friends with this girl or you yourself, you're watching this video, I just want to let you know that I'm not trying to call you out. This is literally for entertainment, so don't take it too seriously. And yeah, even though everything I'm going to say here is what truthfully happened, I don't think you should take it too seriously, and I don't think you have any reason to be mad at me for putting this out there. I am not going to be mentioning the names of people that were involved. I am just going to be describing them in ways that you could understand, but I am not going to be mentioning names. Maybe along the line I could use something else to like differentiate these people so you understand the story better. But for just to be clear with you guys, I am not going to be mentioning names of people. I've seen this like 200 times. So let's start with the story. In my last video, I mentioned that I got my apartment before coming to Canada, and I also got a housemate before coming to Canada. If you haven't watched that video, please make sure to pause this one, go and watch that video, and come back to watch this one so you understand the story better. Make sure you come back to watch this video. I'm begging you. See the way I'm begging you so that you enjoy the story. Anyways, let me get back to my story. So after I booked my flight, I used ArriveCan. I talked about that in my last video. I had to put the place I was going to do my 11 days quarantine, I had to put it in ArriveCan 3 days before my flight. Because of that, I had to look for an apartment as fast as possible, and I had to look for a housemate as well as fast as possible. Now, when I was doing this housemate search, initially I had someone I wanted to stay with, which was my friend, but her lease here had expired and she had to like get someone else to stay with, so it didn't work out because my visa didn't come out on time as well. I finally got to, I think this was in June, gradually getting to the date of my flight, and I hadn't gotten a housemate yet. I spoke to a friend of mine who had already arrived in Canada, and the next morning I woke up to a message from her telling me that she saw someone who posted that she's looking for a housemate for the particular apartment I was looking to stay in Canada. And I thought, oh, this is God, let me hit this person up and just start discussing things with this person. Apparently this person was a girl, and we did video call. Everything was okay initially. I mean, though she was like, I think 2 years older than I was, or 3 years, I can't really remember now because the age wasn't clear. Then I was like, not too much of age difference. I mean, I can stay with, as far as you're a girl, I mean, I'm okay with that. And yeah, this person wasn't Nigerian, but she was African. So I felt another one, I was like, we're all Africans, we can stay together. So I didn't see it as a big deal or any problem. I felt my housemate search was over and it had come to an end. I finally got to Canada and I moved into my apartment with this new housemate. Yes, now this is where the whole housemate drama started unfolding, and everything just started annoying me and irritating me at that point. Okay, so when we moved in, I remember the first few days because I had to do my quarantine, and the first few days I was without Wi-Fi. I hadn't gotten a SIM card in Canada, so I couldn't even communicate with anybody. And here in this country, the way the system works, without Wi-Fi is like it's just like a human being without oxygen. You're helpless. Like, you can't do anything. You can't order food, you can't communicate with anybody, you can't just do anything. And this girl knew that I was on quarantine. I mean, if I wasn't on quarantine, I would have gone to set up the Wi-Fi myself for the house. That's not a problem. She knew I was on quarantine, and apparently I think I moved in on her birthday. I can't remember clearly, but I think I moved in on her birthday, and of course it's okay for you to go and have a party, but I mean, for like 3 days there was no Wi-Fi in the house, and this was me. I couldn't communicate with my mom from Nigeria. I couldn't communicate with anybody. I had my friend who I knew, this housemate through her, had to come in like from her house sometimes to like turn on a hotspot, and then I use her hotspot to communicate with people I wanted to communicate with, to also do my assignments and my quizzes and all of that. I saw that as she's probably having a birthday celebration, so let me not just disturb her. But eventually she brought the Wi-Fi and then finally fixed it the day she decided to come back to the house. So we started living together. I noticed that her boyfriend was always like sleeping over and everything. I thought it was just like sleepover because he helped her to move in and all of that. You guys are not going to believe the next thing I will say. Turned out, okay, from a month, this guy said 3 months he was still in the house, 6 months he was still in the house. And mind you, we were paying bills equally, and this is a ratio of 2:1, because the guy is obviously going to have his birthday, he's obviously going to eat there, and obviously going to do other things there, and I am paying for that stuff. We were paying our bills equally. That was not a problem initially. The first problem I had was, I think the first week I started hearing people shouting, people quarreling, and I'm like, it's normal in every relationship. Even siblings, they quarrel. So how much more boyfriend and girlfriend from different backgrounds, raised by different parents, different sets of traditions and everything, they obviously quarrel. I thought it was like normal relationship thing, and then it started becoming like once in 3 days, sometimes like 3 days straight, noise. And this noise is not just normal quarrel, like and do you know the annoying thing? They don't quarrel because, like, I was working then. They don't quarrel when I'm out of the house. I come back from work most times 12 a.m, 1 a.m. I am tired. After working that long, I am really, really tired. So of course I'm going to need rest when I get back home. And then when the sleep is sweet, like you have reached the peak of the sleep, you will now start hearing people shouting. It was becoming really, really annoying, but I couldn't do anything about it because apparently my name was on the list. So if I wanted to leave, I had to get someone to like replace me. And getting someone to replace me, most people did not want to take the apartment because the rent was high, and some of them like probably knew the story because I would always complain. I was always complaining that I don't like what's going on. How can two people be quarreling? Like, you always quarrel when I want to sleep. Why can't you quarrel when I'm out of the house? It was that bad. And then after some time, I think there was this day on my birthday. I will never forget that birthday. This particular birthday, normally your birthday morning, you're supposed to wake up to messages, lovely messages from people wishing you well and everything. I woke up to quarrel. Another degree of quarrel, like a larger one. It was, in fact, that morning the cops had to come into my apartment, and they were asking series of questions, blah 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 blah. That just annoyed me. It pissed me off. Okay, but before my birthday there was an incident. Initially she told me she wanted to bring in a pet to the house. Yes, the apartment is pet friendly, but I feel like I also have a right in my house where I'm paying equal rent with you and everything is equal. I'm paying bills equally with you and I'm paying the rent equally with you, so I also have a say. I told her that I don't like anything that is living but it's not but it's not a human being. I can't stay with it. And then she's like, okay. I thought I was communicating with a human being. Not too long after, she brought this kitten to the house. You guys are not going to believe me when I tell you that a kitten was tormenting me in the house that I'm paying rent. It was terrible. Like, I remember this one time I was preparing food in the kitchen and it was just myself and her boyfriend in the house with the kitten. I think she went somewhere, I don't know where she went to, but she was not too far from the apartment. And then the boyfriend comes out to get water, and then this kitten follows him. The kitten followed him, and then he went back to the room and left the kitten in the kitchen. I had to jump on the kitchen counter, the slab of the kitchen, and my food was burning because I did not want this cat to touch me. And the cat was approaching me because the cat eats normal food that human beings eat, apparently. I had to call her on Snapchat and I'm like, please come and get this kitten out of here. I'm cooking, my food is burning, I cannot be here. I don't understand how a kitten will be tormenting me in my own house. She made me feel like someone dropped the kitten. Someone said she should pet sit or cat sit the kitten. But actually it was towards the end I found out that this girl actually used that kitten to torment my life because she just wanted to be wicked. Anyways, so after the whole birthday thing, on my birthday she gave me a birthday gift, and then she asked that she needed to use my phone to call her mom. I gave her my phone because before that day I had already spoken to a friend of mine, and I told her that I feel like I want to move because this kitten thing, I mean, I was tolerating everything, the quarrels, the noise, everything. I was tolerating it. But then the fact that I told her that I do not like pets, and then she brought a pet into the house, I feel like she really doesn't care about what I say. Like, what I say doesn't make sense in the house anymore. And I spoke to my friend about it on Snapchat, and I gave my housemate the phone to make a call. Apparently, she went through my Snapchat messages and she saw the message, and I didn't even notice that she wasn't talking to me. She was angry with me and everything. I didn't even notice it. That was my birthday. I just needed to like make myself happy and just live in the moment. I think 3 days after she came back to the house, because most of the time she doesn't even sleep at home. 3 days after she came back to the house, and this was around 3-4 a.m. she came back home, knocking on the door, shouting my name on the corridor. Are you people? She was shouting my name on the corridor, shouting, and she opened the door like I locked her out of the house or something. She came in and she was shouting, did you tell your friends that there was a kitten in this house? Did you tell your friends that the cops came in? Blah 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 blah. Me, I just woke up from sleep, so everything that she was saying, it was not entering. I just knew that she was making noise and she was shouting. My brain was still booting because I just came back from work not too long ago, and I just went to bed like not too long ago, and you come in shouting at me like I'm your sister or like I'm your child or something. So I went back to my room and I sat down and I thought about this thing really well, because apparently this my friend I told the matter, or I shared my problems with, she doesn't know this girl. She doesn't even know my apartment number because I met her through a friend. So she hasn't even seen me in person. So I was like, I calculated everything, and I'm like, no, it's very possible that this girl went through my chats the day before, 3 days before, when I gave her my phone. And then immediately I sent her a message and I'm like, whenever you get back home, I want to see you. And that was it. And I asked her, why did you have to I'm like, it took you 3 days to plan a lie and I still caught you. Can you see how smart you are? And then she goes, I'm really sorry for that, blah blah blah. It's just that I was just angry. I'm like, it's not your problem. I'm sharing my problems to people because you're giving me a headache in this house. Look guys, I thought that was the height of it. So we moved on, we stopped talking for a while, and then we started talking like, I think once in a while we just talk. Because initially when I moved in, I didn't talk to her for like a month or 2 months because we didn't have anything in common. We didn't have anything in common at all. There was nothing, like I was just doing my own thing and then she was doing her own thing. The problem I had with her was sometimes she would come home very drunk. You know, like I will put my food in the fridge. I put my stuff in the fridge because like I always say in my videos, I'm a baker. One day I got back from work and I saw my cake crumbs on the floor. I was like, there's no rats in this house. And I'm like, maybe this is not my cake, maybe I'm overthinking things. And then I went to have my bath. I didn't even go to check the fridge immediately. I got back out of the shower, changed my clothes, and then I went to the fridge and I'm seeing that the red velvet crumbs I kept there, they were not there anymore. And my eggs were gone. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, okay, you're going to have to pay me for this because it has happened the first time and she blamed my friends, and I just kept quiet because I didn't want to like escalate anything. That was still the first time we met and we were like still really new. And then this time around, you don't have anybody to blame because I didn't have any friends around this time around. So like, you cannot say that these are my friends did this one, you did it. then she was like, she was probably drunk when she came in. I'm like, you are drunk. It's not a crime to be drunk. You are drunk, oh, but you have your own stuff in the fridge. Why don't you eat yours? Why do you have to eat my own thing that I kept in the fridge? Why is it my own you're eating? That was the problem I had with her. She would come home drunk, and sometimes she'll leave the stove on, the gas cooker. She just turns it on and just leave it, and nothing is cooking. And we are paying insurance. And in that insurance policy, they say do not turn on the cooker when you're not using it, and we're paying for insurance.
Okay. Another problem I had with my housemates was that, yeah, like I mentioned, her boyfriend was staying with us. He only used to go out like once in a while, but he was always in the house, always in the house. And then when I'm like, because it's a 2-bedroom 2-bathroom apartment, and one bathroom is outside the room, which is my room that I was like occupying. Whenever I come out of the bathroom, most of the time this guy is sitting on his girlfriend's bed, and her room is like adjacent to my bathroom, and then the door of her room is open. So imagine coming out in towel and it's a guy that is seeing you, and then this guy is not related to you in any way. You don't have any friendship or relationship with this guy, and it's this guy that is seeing you. I felt like really uncomfortable, and I don't know why she never had the reasoning or anything of that sort, or none of them like thought about it to close the door, always close the door no matter what, because most of the time the door was open, and then when I'm coming out of my bathroom, I'm just shy or scared or something. And then most of the time I would even waste time in the bathroom before coming out, trying to see whether the boy has actually like closed the door or shut the door or something before coming out of my bathroom. It was really bad, like really bad. I don't know how she felt doing that to someone else, but for me, I can't do that to someone else, because I know how most girls feel. Like if a guy, this is someone that's not their brother or friend or somebody, and this guy is just sitting out there, and uncle will not face TV, he will turn and be looking at you. But that was one problem that I was facing in that house, but I'm glad everything is over.
So the last straw was there was this day. Okay, like I said, when she comes back, sometimes she's drunk, and then she turns on the cooker and she leaves it, and I wake up in the morning and the cooker is burning, nothing is on it. I just wake up to the smell of it, and I had to go and turn it off, covering up for someone else's, I don't know what to call it, but that was it. I would always like go to turn off the cooker once, not twice, not 3 times. I did like how many times? I would always go to turn off the cooker, and she would not know. There was even a day I came back home and something was burning. I couldn't tell what was burning, but it wasn't the cooker. And then I like, after like 30 minutes, I was like, let me just go and check the oven. And she left something to burn in the oven. I didn't want to turn it off this time. I went to her room. That girl, it was a terrible experience. So while the oven was burning, I decided I was going to go to her room to like knock on the door to let her know that, okay, I feel like it's high time you need to know what's going on. Like whenever you come home drunk, you can't just be leaving things on and going to bed. What if something happens? What if I am not awake and I am not alert? This is how we'll burn this property, and I'll be paying for what I don't know about. I knocked on this door, and this girl was in the room. She refused to answer me several times. I could hear her talking. She was on the call and she refused to answer me because of the oven. So I just went quietly and I went to turn it off, and I took it as I've moved in. There's nothing I can do. My name is on the list. If my name wasn't on the list, I would have just left. Like I would have actually just walked away. She would have just come home and she would have let me in the house. I would have probably looked for somewhere else to stay, anywhere else but that place, because it was getting it was annoying. It was getting worse day by day. So the final straw was, there was this day I prepared spaghetti, jollof spaghetti. You know, sometimes when you prepare meals, like there's always that meal that sometimes when you just prepare it, like this particular meal is just very sweet. It's different from the other ones you've been making, and this was just jollof spaghetti. It was really nice, and I was like, I'm going to save it for the next day for my lunch, because I don't usually have time to cook because I was working then. So on this night, of course, the usual quarrel started, and they woke me up from my sweet sleep. And then I was perceiving the gas. And this time around I was like, I don't want to go out because they were like in the hallway and in the sitting room, and my, like, if I come out I could actually like meet them doing their quarrel. I don't want anybody to push me or like hit me, or me getting injured because of problem that is not my business. So I was perceiving this gas and I was like, I'm not going to turn it off this time. I'm too tired. Like, hopefully nothing happens and everything. And I remembered that I had spaghetti and I didn't put it in the fridge because I don't like putting my food in the fridge. I remember that I had spaghetti and I didn't put it in the fridge. I was like, let me go and check what is smelling. You guys are not going to believe it. My spaghetti was burning one peacefully. It was burning, like serious burn. Like the only thing that was the chicken. It was just one chicken that was still manageable to eat. The rest burnt with the spaghetti. Everything was black. And I said, okay, I'm not going to take this anymore. I have to go and tell her. Apparently that night she was drunk. And I'm like, you burnt my food. You came home, you turned on the cooker and you went to quarrel. Like, what is your business with the cooker? Why can't you just walk straight to your room and go and quarrel? Why do you have to burn my food? And that was it. And I was like, I'm leaving. I am actually going to leave. I want to leave. That night she asked me for my phone to call her mom, and I'm like, I can't give you my phone. After what I experienced with you the last time, you went through my chats. What makes you think that I'm going to give you my phone to speak with your mom? And she's like, she's injured. Apparently she was actually injured. I came out of my room and I saw blood everywhere on my door. You guys, this was like Vampire Diaries. It was like those horror movies where, like, I don't know, where they kill someone and then they're dragging the person and then the blood is on the door. This was how it was. I was seeing horror movie in my house. And I came out and I was like, you're making noise, you're actually shouting. I feel like you should tone down your voice. Because the property managers, they sent a message to us telling us that they are giving us last warning. They didn't give us first warning, no. They gave us last warning that if they hear any noise from that particular apartment, they are going to evict us. And she was the one who replied the mail and promised that there was not going to be any noise from the apartment. You replied the mail less than a week ago, and less than a week after, you are making noise with your boyfriend. Yes, the boyfriend was still living with us almost a year. He was still living with us in that house. So after that, I refused to give her my phone, and then the next morning I woke up to her threatening me and saying, I was hearing her saying I saw her bleeding and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't give her my phone to call her mom, blah blah blah, that she was going to make sure I get injured before I leave the apartment. She was going to make sure I bleed before I leave the apartment. That was the statement I heard when I woke up. She was calling my name and she was saying it, and her boyfriend was telling her she's going to hear, and she was like, she doesn't care if I hear. So I called my mom immediately and I'm like, just in case anything happens, because obviously you're not going to attack me and I'm going to stand and watch you. I'm definitely going to do something. So my mom spoke to a friend of hers and her friend was like, I should call the cops. And I called the cops in the morning and I told them that someone was threatening me. And they came and they were like, what's been going on? Thank God they saw the blood. They saw the blood like on my door. They saw the blood on my toilet door, and they saw the blood on the floor. Apparently it wasn't cleaned up properly by whoever cleaned it up. So they asked me, if you are given an opportunity, would you like to leave? And I was like, yes, I would love to leave, because this is something I have always wanted. I want to go. I can't stay here. I can't remember the last night I had a full night's sleep without someone disrupting the quarrel or fights or arguments or anything of that sort, or someone banging on my door. Most times she will even come and knock on my door. I'm like, I'm not part of this your relationship. Why do you have to put me in things that don't relate to me? There was this time she was having issues with the guy and she calls me and she's like, I should tell the guy to leave the house. I'm like, was I the one that told the guy to come inside the house before? I'm like, sorry, I can't do that. I have respect for myself. I can't do that. So the cops gave me something to give to the property managers to help them like take my name off the list, and that was it. That was everything I wanted. That was when I had peace. I didn't tell her I was moving out. The day she found out I was moving out, she got pissed, like really, really pissed. I think this was the last problem I had with her before I left. I got back from work that day. I remember it was a Sunday. I got back from work that day, and she's like, you haven't sent your rent, because this was like the fourth, already the fourth, and normally I send my rent like 31st, before the first of every month, because I don't want to like pay late fee, fine, and all of that. So she's like, this is the fourth, your rent hasn't come, and if there's any problem you could actually discuss it with me. I'm like, no, there's no problem, I've already discussed with the property managers and they'll get back to you. And she's like, okay. I thought that was settled. I go back to my room, and she and her boyfriend, they go somewhere to discuss, I don't know. And then they're like, she's like, the bank has already collected the money from her account, which is my share of her rent, of the rent rather. The bank has collected it from her account, and she wants to pay school fees. I say, okay, is this night you want to pay school fees? She's like, yeah, that I have to give her the money, my share of the rent that night, or we're not sleeping. I said, no problem. After all, I'm already used to not sleeping in this house, so we can all stay awake. And then she starts shouting, blah blah blah, and then the boyfriend starts talking. I'm like, yo, you are not supposed to be talking, because your name is not on the list. I have tolerated enough from you both. The fact that you're staying in this house and you're not paying anything is already pissing me off. I mean, you stay here and I pay equal bills with your girlfriend when you are consuming at a ratio of 2-1. And he goes, this girl don't know waiting this up, no waiting this up. I'm like, me, you want to use that for me? It didn't move me, because I already knew I had discussed it with the cops. I called the cops in twice, and they had no idea. But the property managers were always aware whenever the cops came in. I called the cops in twice, and these people had no idea. And I told them that property managers are aware, and they were like, you're lying. How would the property manager allow you to stay this long and you haven't paid rent? I'm like, when you go tomorrow, you can argue with them. And she's like, you have to call the property manager this night. You have to call this night. You have to call this night. I'm like, that was already like 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m. thereabouts. I'm like, if I call her this night, what should I tell her? That she should put your money back in your account. I'm like, I already discussed with her. There's nothing you will do now. Even if you beat me, that money, I'm not going to bring it out. So I called my mom, and my mom was like, what's going on? I'm like, this person said it's this night, because she opened my door when she tried knocking and I wasn't home. She opened my door and she saw that I had already packed up my stuff. I had detached my bed. I had like everything was clear. It was just like move out. And then I feel like she got pissed, and then that was the night she decided that she wants to pay school fees, because they felt that was the only way for them to get the money from me. But as the person that I am, I knew that there was no way. I was like, if you shake me from now till tomorrow, this money is not going to come out. I can't give you money for something that I am not going to stay. Why should I be paying rent for a place I'm not going to stay in because you want to pay your school fees? And then she's like, does that mean I'm not going to take this semester? I said, my dear, that's not on me, that's on you, because you had other days to pay the school fees. Why does it have to be this Sunday? And the way she made it feel, she was like, I gave them the deadline this Sunday, 2 a.m. for me to submit, for me to pay the school fees. I'm like, what school is that? And she's like, my school. And I'm like, I go to the same school. What type of arrangement do you have with them that other students cannot have? Like, there's nothing like that in my school. So what's going on? So like, I don't know how she felt that she could lie to me and I'll be foolish to like believe her and listen to her. But me, nah, I wasn't going to fall for any of that stuff. So after the whole drama, she was like, so I'm not going to pay for my school fees. And then she told me, you guys, your mom and your mom, you guys have already won. There's nothing I can do. I can't keep arguing with you guys, because we didn't agree to release the money to her, because there's no sense in me paying rent for somewhere I'm not going to stay. And the next day I moved out finally from the apartment. And I tell you what, when I moved into my new place, I had for 2 weeks, in my sleep I would be hearing their voices shouting. Sometimes I'll wake up like thinking they're actually quarreling in my apartment. It was terrible. I had like the trauma that came with that thing. They don't know, but I don't care. But I'm happy that I was able to move out, and I'm happy that I'm in a better place. I have peace where I am right now. That experience is not something that I wish for my enemy. That thing is terrible. So I hope that you guys learn from this story. I hope that when you're looking for a housemate, you do your background research, and I don't know, but be careful when you're looking for a housemate, because it's very difficult, especially when your name is on the list, to move out, except you find someone who is willing to replace you. If not, you're probably going to have to stick with that person for like 1 year or something. But most times, most people advise that you can sign for 6 months, but in all those apartments, it's not possible to sign a 6 months lease. It's actually like a year lease. But like I said, when you're looking for a housemate, be careful who you look for, or search for qualities in that person. I mean, I didn't see this sign. I didn't really see this sign of her quarreling and, always making herself the victim whenever things happen, and always like, yeah, whenever things happen and she's the cause of the problem or she's at fault, she was always making herself the victim. I never saw all of this. But like I would say, I just pray it never happens to anybody. It's not something I'll pray for to anyone, including my enemies, to experience. It was a really, really bad experience. At some point, I wanted to go to see a therapist because it was getting to me. I was gradually losing it because I couldn't have time to sleep, and then the little time I have to sleep, because I was like working, and then the little time I have to sleep, people are quarreling, banging doors, hitting things, scattering things. Like, it was terrible. But I'm grateful and I'm happy I'm out of it. And that was why that period, I don't think I was able to release like any YouTube video then, because I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I wasn't thinking properly. But right now I'm in a better place, I'm in a better space. I even wanted to like, hopefully, I would say there's still a video that's going to be coming up because of this story, but I'll save that for the next video. I hope you learned something from this story. I hope you learned something from this story, and I hope no one experiences what I experienced. That is a terrible first experience anyone should experience as a new immigrant or as someone coming into a country newly. Considering the fact that I didn't have friends that I could actually run to say, okay, this is what is happening, this is what's going on, and everything. But I hope that, like I've always been saying, I hope no one gets to experience it. Anyway guys, this is the end of the video. I'm sorry if it was too long for you, but I just had to say the story and I just had to put it up there for people to learn 1 or 2 things from it. I hope you learned something from it, and I don't know if I made any mistake moving into the apartment. I probably did, but maybe I don't know. But if I made a mistake, I hope you don't make the same mistake I made, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.